Everyone says burnout happens because you work too much. That is wrong. Burnout happens because you are working too hard on the wrong things, driven by the wrong reasons, with no system to protect you from yourself. I've studied what separates leaders who sustain elite performance from those who collapse mid-stride. Having spent 14 plus years as a consultant, I promise you, it is not time management. It is not a better calendar. It's something simpler. And by the end of this video, you'll have it. It is called the finish this mile rule. Stay with me. Let me paint a picture. And please stay with me because it is important knowing what the real problem is so it can be solved. You are the person everyone calls. You hit your goals. You execute when others fold. You carry the weight without complaint because that is just who you are. On paper, you are winning. But when the room clears, when the notifications go quiet, when nobody needs anything from you, there is this feeling, a quiet ache, an emptiness, like something is fundamentally missing, and you can't name it, and you can't fix it. And the terrifying thing is none of your success seems to touch it. That feeling has a name. Researchers and therapists call it the void. And it is not a character flaw. It is not ingratitude. It is the inevitable destination when high achievers use external success to try to solve internal emotional wound. Here is what the research shows. Burnout and overwhelm are an epidemic among the most successful people on the planet. Not the struggling ones, not the average ones, the top performers, the ones whose by every external measure appear to be thriving. Let's go a little deeper. And I want you to stay with me here because this is where most leadership conversations don't go. And it is exactly why most solutions don't work. For many high performers, the relentless drive isn't born from confidence. It is born from childhood emotional wounds, a fear of not being enough, a need to earn love through performance, a subconscious belief that if they stop achieving, something terrible will happen. Psychologists call the resulting pattern the worst day cycle. It works like this. The underlying fear of inadequacy, of not being enough, gets transformed into shame. And that shame, it acts like a rocket booster. It propels you to extraordinary heights. It makes you work harder than anyone around you. It makes you feel impossibly resilient. But like a rocket booster, it eventually runs out of fuel. And when it does, the crash is brutal. Now, here is where it gets even more deceptive. High achievers don't struggle with shame. They also struggle with a mental framework called living in the gap. Researchers Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy documented this pattern extensively. They found that ambitious individuals almost always measure their progress against an ideal, an unreachable, constantly moving target, rather than looking backward and how far they've actually come. The ideal is always ahead. Progress never feels real. So no matter how much you accomplish, you feel like you are falling short. This is what drives some of the most talented, accomplished people into depression. In tragic extreme cases, it is what drives them out of life entirely. You need to hear this clearly. The gap is not a motivation strategy. It is a psychological trap. And it is compounded by something researchers call the overwhelm trifecta: decision fatigue, multitasking, and cognitive load. High achievers get hit with all three simultaneously, and their default response: try harder, add more hours, confuse busyness with productivity. That is not execution. That is suffering in motion. I want to bring this out of the abstract for a moment. Arianna Huffington, co-founder of the Huffington Post, one of the most recognized media executives, collapsed from exhaustion in 2007. She woke up on the floor of her home office in a pool of blood, having hit her head on her desk when she passed out. She was by every external measure winning. The Huffington Post was growing rapidly. Her influence was expanding. The world saw a powerhouse. What the world didn't see was the 18 hours day, the chronic sleep deprivation, the relentless pace that had quietly destroyed her health. That moment became the catalyst for her best-selling book Thrive and the founding of Thrive Global, an entire company built around the realization that sustainable high performance requires rest, not just effort. Hey, if you are a leader or aspiring leader who find yourself leading on autopilot, running hard but not sure where you're actually going, we have something for you. It is called the Free Leader Identity Audit. It's designed to help you assess exactly where you are and give you a clear map for leading better. Download it in the description below. It takes less than 10 minutes and it will show you things about yourself that might surprise you. Now let's talk solution. Here is something most high achievers fundamentally resist accepting. Your brain is not built for relentless, non-stop decision making. There is a famous study involving Israeli judges, real courtroom judges making real parole decisions. Researchers analyzed over 1,000 rulings and found something stunning. The judges' decisions were dramatically influenced by when the case was heard. Cases heard right after a food break had a nearly 65% approval rate for parole. Cases heard at the end of a long session, almost zero. Same judges, same laws, different outcomes, based entirely on mental exhaustion. This is the decision fatigue. It is biological, and it doesn't care how talented you are. The most successful leaders understand this even if they can't name it. They know there are certain hours in the day when they are sharp, when their thinking is clear, their creativity is high, their judgment is sound. And there are other hours when they are running on fumes. Researchers call this your green zone. Typically, 3 to 5 hours of peak mental performance that occur at a predictable time each day. The problem? Most high achievers spend their green zone in their inbox, in meetings, in other people's emergencies, handling lower priority requests initiated by other people, while their most critical mission-driving work gets pushed to the hours when they have nothing left to give. Here is something one of my honorable book and podcast mentors, Craig Rochelle, said: "The urgent always screams louder than the important. And if you don't build a system to protect what matters, you will always sacrifice it." Protecting your green zone means categorizing your work into what Craig called the 4 tiers of effectiveness. Tier number 1, mission critical tasks that drive outcome that actually move the needle. Tier number 2, important but not urgent. Tier number 3, tasks that could be delegated without consequence. Tier number 4, low priority requests initiated by others. These get ignored or deferred. The problem isn't that you don't know this intellectually. The problem is you don't have a system that forces you to live it. Because without a system, willpower runs dry and tier 4 takes over. That is where the finish this mile rule changes everything. So here is the core insight I want you to walk away with today. You don't magically rise to the heights of your vision. You advance by finishing the exact stretch of responsibility directly in front of you. Let me repeat. You don't magically rise to the heights of your vision. You advance by finishing the exact stretch of responsibility directly in front of you. Most leaders break down not because they lack vision. They have too much vision and they are trying to carry every mile of the massive journey all at once. They are mentally living at mile 26 while their body is at mile 3. I often catch myself in the gap. But here is a 4-step framework that I have applied over and over and has always worked. Very simple. The finish this mile rule. It collapses that gap. It gives you 1 mile to run. Just one. Here it is. 4 steps executed in sequence. Step number 1, focus. Choose exactly one item, the single thing that matters most right now. The thing that, if completed, will reduce the most friction in your life and work. 1. This is harder than it sounds because high achievers are wired to carry everything simultaneously. But clarity on the one thing is what makes execution possible. Step number 2, execute. Schedule a specific block of time for this task. Protect it like it is non-negotiable, because it is. No multitasking, no notifications, not just a quick check of email. This is deep work, the kind of focus on distracted effort that produces the output your scattered hours never will. Research consistently shows that the most productive people aren't working more hours. They are working fewer hours with more intensity on fewer things that matter more. Step number 3, complete. Fully finish the task before you move on. This is the piece most high achievers skip. They get 80% done, declare victory, and move to the next thing, leaving a trail of almost finished work that creates invisible drag on their energy and focus. Here is the psychology. Motivation and momentum are created by completion, not by planning. Every time you close a loop, actually you finish something, your brain releases a small dose of dopamine. Confidence compounds. You feel capable. You want to do it again. Finish the mile. Close the loop. Last but not least, advance. Only after you have completely finished this current mile do you move on to the next one. Not before, not simultaneously. After. This is how you build sustainable momentum. This is how you prevent the overwhelmed trifecta from resetting every time you make a progress. This is how systems beat willpower, not by relying on motivation to stay high, but by building a rhythm that carries you forward even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Let me say this clearly. The finish this mile rule is not about doing less. It is about doing the right thing completely and letting that completion be the fuel for what comes next. High achievers who burn out aren't burning out of too much work. They are burning out from too much incomplete work, spread across too many directions, with no clear signal that they are actually making progress. 1 mile, focus, completed, advance. That is the way forward. You are not a machine. You are a high performer. And high performers don't run on empty. They finish miles. They build systems. They protect their energy. And they bring their whole self to work, not just what is left after everything else has taken its share. That is how you stop burning out. That is how you start winning in a way that actually feels like winning. If you are a leader or an aspiring leader and you recognize yourself in what we talk about today, I want to give you something concrete. We have a free leader identity audit. It is designed specifically for leaders who are performing on the outside but running on empty on the inside. It will show you exactly where you are, what is driving your patterns, and give you a clear path forward. Download it in the description below. It is free. It takes 10 minutes, and it might be the most important 10 minutes you invest in yourself this year. And if this video hit home, if you found yourself nodding along, I think you are going to want to watch this one next on Leading from the Inside Out. Thank you for watching. God bless.